All right. How's everybody doing? Quite a cold day here in northern North Pole part of this world. For those of you who know me, I live in Canada, and all what happens here is winter and snow and minus 30 degrees Celsius. For those of you who don't know, we have a very special person that will be joining us today, Mr. Bryan Casella. Uh, very influential person, and you know what? I don't know if you watch a lot of my videos or the interviews that I've done, but if you're here today online, you gotta watch this one today because it will have so much useful information for all of us. And he's here. He is here. Let's go. Mr. Bryan, how you doing?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing very well. Glad to have you. You're right on time. That's awesome.
Thanks for having me, man. You ready to go?
Perfect. Before we get started, people who are watching from your community, of course, they know you very well. But
Yeah.
people who are in my audience, they don't know you. So, do you mind if I talk a little bit about who you are,
Sure.
and then we can get started?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So, for those who don't know Bryan, well, definitely you'll know him very well after this interview. But he's a top producing real estate agent in sunny California. Very different weather than where I live. Where I live right now is like snow, and snow here is like a desert.
Yeah.
That's how it feels like. But Bryan is known all around the world for his success in real estate and also his passion and taste for sports cars and supercars. We've seen it all over the place. And not to mention, he's very well known in the realm of sales and branding. Very well known. People all around the world have sought his expertise to learn from him because people who are in the industry, especially in real estate, want to know what Bryan knows. So without further ado, uh, we welcome Mr. Bryan Casella. First of all, I know you're super busy. Usually people say they're busy, but you're actually very busy. I'm aware of that. So many thanks for taking the time out, first of all.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me, man. Excited to get started.
Awesome. So, we were wondering, I know you're super busy on a tight schedule. We were wondering if we can ask you a few questions because I remember I watched one of your live videos maybe a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And you were talking about mentorship and what's the importance of mentorship and how it has changed your life and how it has changed other people's life, right?
Yeah.
And that's something people struggle with a lot because, I mean, by default, the mentors that we get in our life are our parents or our family or some of our friends, right?
Yes.
And, in a lot of cases, those are not the perfect influence you want. Like, agree with it or not, right? I mean, that's what happens. It's kind of like you're granted this, right? So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about mentorship because, I mean, it has played an important part in your life, and I'm sure all of us can benefit from your learnings.
Absolutely, man. And you're right because, growing up, if you aspire to be a top realtor or a top YouTuber, entrepreneur, you want to create a brand, you want to start your own company, we were never educated about those topics by somebody who actually did it. We were told by our parents or somebody who maybe had the thought but never executed. And so we were conditioned from a young age to accept mediocrity, and we had the wrong people educating us about the subjects like money, success, and everything else. And the first thing that I did when I got into the business, I knew I needed mentorship, but I noticed that a lot of people went about it the wrong way, right? And I can cover that later if you want to ask me that. But mentorship gave me two things, right? Number one of the most valuable things that I got from my mentors when I started, and I continuously get, is they've already walked the path that you're about to walk. So they're already kind of instructing you what's going to happen in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, right? Case in point, I remember starting, my mentor said, look, your emotions will probably get the best of you. So be ready for a wave to come and hit you and crash right in your face as you start this journey. And I remember feeling it 3 or 4 weeks into my journey in real estate. And I had that reminder in the back of my head as I was going through it. So I just said, keep going through it, keep going through it, right? And I think that in itself is invaluable, right? Because they already know, they've been there. So for you to be in a position now where you're on the journey and what they said is going to happen is happening, and not only prepares you for it, but it also gives you kind of like a voice of reason, because most people who are on their journey, right, they'll end up quitting at some point. That's the majority, 90, 95, 99%, whatever it is. But by having that voice of that mentor of yours there, that alone will give you enough courage to continue to go on. At the same time, in my mind, it further gave them even more credibility, because as stage one, stage two, stage three was happening, I was like, he's right, he's right, he's right, he's right, right? And I think more than anything, besides that, it's just always having that person that as you progress will look at you and say, okay, yeah, you're doing it right. Okay, yeah, that's good. Oh, switch this a little bit, but everything else is good. And they kind of make sure that you stay on the path, because we tend to go a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, but they're the ones who kind of nudge you and keep you going straight. So I would say those are probably the top two things that I believe mentorship will grant somebody that will allow them to succeed long term. Because this is long term. I don't care what you do, it's long term. It's not going to happen in a day, a week, a month, or a year. It's going to be a lifetime commitment.
Okay. No, that's awesome. That's insightful. You know, as you were talking about it and you were talking about the point of credibility, like right away there was like a bulb in my head saying, you know what, you're absolutely right. When somebody gave me the guidance and it was the right guidance, I started believing, trusting them more with time, right? That's awesome. That's amazing. Totally. Golden nugget. So, you know, you kind of like touched on the importance of mentors in your life. Now, how have you benefited in having the influence of those successful people or successful mentors in your life on how you live your life right now and how you plan on living in the future? Like, how do you think it has played a part?
Well, tremendously. You know, I believe that everybody, especially like you mentioned in the beginning, we're raised in a certain environment. So we believe that that box is our limit or what I call the realm of possibility. And as I began to take action and meet new people and get new mentors, simply listening to their discussions, what they do day to day, where they live, what they drive, penetrating these new circles, I started saying, whoa, I thought life was this box, when in actuality, it's now this house. And then the next guy that you meet shows you that that house is small and it's actually a warehouse, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But unless somebody exposes themselves to that, they'll never know. You'll continue living your life just like a lot of people do nowadays who maybe are living in poverty. They don't know any better, right? They take the same route to work every day. They do the same job every day. They make the same income every day. And they're just closed off to what is possible and what other people are doing. And what I did, looking at these mentors, I said, man, you know, I'm in this position right now. Look where this guy's at. I want to be there. And just seeing that somebody was there forced me to step my game up. Because I said, okay, I've been conditioned to think, for example, a car is a waste of money. But now my thinking has completely changed, because it goes back to what we said at the beginning. I was being told car was a waste of money by the wrong person. I was getting information from a non-credible source, not the mentor, not somebody who's been there. All right. Case in point, you hear money's the root of all evil. I've never heard a successful person tell me that, ever. Anybody with money, success, riches, has never told me money's the root of all evil. They'll educate me about money, but that statement will never come out. It only has come from somebody who didn't have any money. So I began to look at things differently, and it really opened my eyes to what's possible. And I think that's one of the biggest things that will help people is, you know, you can watch on YouTube or hear all these stories, but when you experience it in person, it has a profound effect on you for sure.
Awesome. Amazing. Great insight. It's kind of crazy because, you know, I'm listening to you, and as you're talking, it's like these important things like all are like blinking in my head, and I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, this is so true, so true. I got to think about it later too. So it's kind of like becoming hard to like ask you questions and also kind of formulate the information in my head. But that's awesome. That's amazing. The other question is a little bit detailed, and so this is how it goes. By the way, before I get started into the second question, I looked at the video of your new house. Congratulations. Amazing. Beautiful.
Thanks, brother.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
So a lot of people want to have positive influences or mentors in their life, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people do, except some people who just choose to live a lower frequency of life. Yeah. But they seem to be very unsuccessful in creating those relationships, right? They try, but they're unsuccessful.
Yeah.
I know that you're connected to a lot of successful people throughout the world. Yeah. A lot of successful people. That's very, very evident. So what two principles you employed that have helped you connect with these people who are willing to give their precious time to them? Like you were talking, you were listening to them, you were talking to them. what made it happen? What were the two principles, key principles that you were able to employ in your personal life?
Cool, great question. There was two ways that I went about it, right? The first way, and two, and then I'll go into detail, right? Number one is a lot of people believe that just by simply asking for somebody to mentor you, you're going to get it, right? What I did was I didn't ask necessarily. I took a lot of action and I made myself visible to the mentor. That's number one. Number two is that particular individual that I wanted to mentor me, I became their biggest fan. I bought all their products, went to all their events. Anywhere they went, I would go. Whenever they released a new event, I'd be the first one to sign up, first one to show up, last one to leave. I literally made it impossible for them not to know who I am. Okay, that's number two. So number one, all right. What I mean by that is I remember the first mentor that I had in real estate, right? I continuously was approaching him and I just could not get his time. He was too busy. He was too successful. So after a while I said, all right, obviously this is not working. How can I get in front of this person? So what I did was I knew what he was teaching us. So I literally just was practicing what he preached. I was at the office early every morning. I got a key from my broker to open the office. I was the first one there making calls, right? When everybody would show up 2 hours later, I was already, 2 hours in. Then I would go out, I'd go door to door. I was the first one to attend all his trainings. Very quickly, I was in front of my whole office doing, every presentation and every script for the sales that we were doing. And I just showed complete mastery within a very short amount of time. And it was after that I continued to approach him while I was doing that. And eventually he was like, you know what? I like what you're doing. I see myself in you. You're taking a lot of action. I know you're legit now. Okay, I'll take you in. And that's really how it happened. Okay. So it was not only me asking, but also demonstrating who I am and taking action. And I believe that's a key mistake that a lot of people make. I can show you, brother, 50 emails I get a day. Please be my mentor. I'm 18. Thank you. It's like, that's not going to work, right? Especially if you go to somebody who's successful, they get 20 of those. What makes you different? But if I see somebody who I'm following.
So I'm going to, sorry, if you don't mind, I'm going to interrupt you. That is so important what you said, that you get 20 to 50 emails every day from people saying, hey, would you be my mentor? Thank you. How does that make you feel? And what do you feel internally when you get those messages? And why are you not, of course, you're super busy. Why are you not willing to help these people? Like, I want to know how you feel, because I think that's so important.
Well, I kind of feel bad for them a little bit because I'm sure they've been miseducated as well on how to get a mentor. But for everybody watching, as you become more successful, your time now has a dollar amount or a value. Okay, so I know if I'm going to invest, if I'm worth 800 an hour, that person needs to be worth something or demonstrate something that catches my eye. Right. So the newest guy that I hired, Kevin, he went to every single speaking event that I did in California. He's bought several products. He's always around. He seemed like he had desire. He had asked me, if I was hiring, but he wasn't badgering me or emailing me every 5 minutes. So when it came time to hire people and he applied, although on paper he wasn't the best, when I started mentally taking notes of everything he had done, I said, okay, this is the guy. And I hired him, right? Boom. And he's on the team now. So, but it goes back to what I said in the beginning. It was his actions that spoke louder than any resume or any email or anything like that, right? And I think that is the key. If people can take that and apply it in the mentor that they're looking for, you'll have much more success. Now, is it guaranteed you'll get them as a mentor? Of course not, but it's going to raise your chances tremendously. Answer your question?
Right. So you're saying hunger is, when you look to mentor someone, you're looking for hunger. That's something very, very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like you can't teach it.
Right. Sorry, I'm interrupting you because I don't want to lose this thought. You said something also very profound. You said, when you were trying to approach or seek that mentor in real estate, you said, I was doing a lot of action. And then you said this one thing, you said, they saw part of themselves in me.
Yeah.
So how does that relate? So do you mean, are you saying that for someone to take someone as a mentor, or for you to get a mentor, they have to see part of themselves in the other person so they feel that connection?
I believe that's a great question. I believe it would help you tremendously because anybody who's made it in anything, that's been through the struggle and the obstacles and the challenges, you can detect the genuine desire, right? Just like if I get 100 messages asking for advice, there may be one or two in there that I can see in the writing that it's genuine, and I may answer that one and put it as a preference over other ones, right?
Right.
And I think it's maybe not so much seeing a personal thing in them. It's more seeing just the genuine desire, hunger, and kind of motivation, fear, nervousness, excitement, whatever you want to call it, that feeling that we had back then, that look we had on our face, we see it in that person, right? And I think that's
Right.
something that you can't fake. And that's why if we see it and we sense it, we latch onto it because we know, okay, we have the right candidate here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. That is so cool. That is very cool. Thank you. So that kind of like takes us to, I know we are short on time, and so that kind of takes us into the last question. And I struggle with this question so much,
Yeah.
and I'm sure a lot of, and you know that a lot of people struggle with this question and this idea. So this is how it goes. If you're okay with me asking this last question.
Sure. Yeah.
So person who is starting up, person who's starting up who doesn't have a lot of wealth, doesn't have a lot to show, doesn't have a lot of financial resources, maybe to attend a lot of trainings or seminars, doesn't have a lot of like financial strength to get engaged into what their mentor is offering. They're one constraint for now. And then also doesn't have any kind of like, craft. They're building their craft, doesn't have a lot of value to give, but are really wanting to seek mentors. So what happens is, they want to get guidance, they want to get mentorship from people, but they have nothing to offer at this point, financially or with their skill set. So now these people are stuck at this arena where they're thinking, hey, I want to seek that person, and this other person, as you were just talking to, right? So many people message you. You want to see what they're offering to. Every relationship, there has to be some give and take, right?
Yeah.
Now you as a mentor, as a potential mentor, you're also seeking what this person has to offer, right? It can't be just take. So now this person is just starting up, doesn't have all that what I just discussed.
Right.
How can someone who's stuck in that situation deal with it to be on the other side? Or if you were ever in that situation, how did you deal with it?
Well, again, I believe that even when I started, I had no value as well. And maybe that's why that particular mentor was not giving me any attention. And I believe the majority of people will start in that position because if you're doing a new career or starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, we don't have a lot of money saved up. We're not coming from a background typically of people who have been taught correctly. We're jumping into the abyss without a flashlight, and we have to figure it out. And I think most people are going to start in that position. You don't know much about sales, or you don't know much about this and that. You have to understand that there will be a period that you have to walk this path alone, right? Even though I was seeking my mentor, I knew deep down inside that would help me tremendously, but I said, I'm doing this no matter what. If I don't have the mentor, it's okay. I'm still going to make it and figure this thing out. But while I'm looking for the mentor, let's begin to hone my craft, right? The sword doesn't just start as sword. It starts as a piece of metal, and the blacksmith starts working on it, right? Then eventually it takes shape, and then he sharpens it, cools it off, and it becomes a sword. That's the way you need to think about yourself. Maybe right now, instead of just being a flat sheet of iron, the blacksmith won't pick you up. But as you begin to work on yourself, you now start transforming into that flat piece of iron that now the blacksmith or the mentor in this case will now get you, and now you're next in line for him to work on you. So there is a lot of time that you're going to have to put in working on your craft and developing value. Because if you just sit there with no value and you don't work on yourself and you don't work on your craft, you're not going to get anywhere. So my suggestion to them would be, start the basics and fundamentals to build a foundation, right? And be okay being alone. I tell people all the time, eagles fly alone. Why are we so afraid to be alone? Because we know eventually down the road, you will have a team, you will have employees, you'll have mentors. But for right now, if you have to be alone, you roll your sleeves up, you get to work, on your off time like I did, you read, you go to the gym early, whatever it takes. You listen to the free podcasts, you soak up as much as you can. Because I can tell you, when I started the end of 2013 compared to now, there's way more information out there just in the last 4 years. I know people who follow my YouTube who have started with nothing, have been following me for years, never bought anything, and they're still having some success just from the free stuff. So that alone can already lift you up a little bit to now offer value and give something back, and then begin this quest of getting the mentor. I just think there's this fear of being alone, when in reality, I think that's the time that you grow the most as an individual, because you have no shoulder to cry on and you have nobody to lean on. You have to figure it out or you're out, right? It's I make it or I quit. I win or I lose. There's no gray area. And I think that alone is what scares most people into thinking, oh, I need a mentor. Yeah, it's going to help you, but be willing to start something on your own and figure it out.
So key, so important. So what you're saying is put a lot of hard work in that time frame when you're not offering a lot of value.
Yep.
Become valuable.
Yeah.
Put a lot of hard work, and be willing to be alone on your path. Be willing to like in ease with yourself in whatever you're doing. Don't be scared that you're going to be alone and there's nobody to like support you, right?
Absolutely, yeah, because all those negative aspects of it, or the negative emotions that get stirred up when people are scared or whatever, all it does is it causes tension and you get stiff, right? So don't resist it. I think a lot of suffering comes in this life because people want to resist everything. Oh, I'm scared of being alone. Oh, I don't want to, I don't want to be broke, right? But whether you're scared or not, you have to act. If you don't have the money that you want right now, you still don't have any money, and you have to start there and then work your way up. I just think everybody's like pushing against life instead of just embracing it and saying, you know what, these are my circumstances. This is where I'm starting. Let's do it. I mean, if you go look at my videos, no more than 2-3 years ago, I was in a 300 or 400 square foot apartment making videos. Now I'm in a 5,000 square foot mansion with, 4 cars and all this stuff. But I started in the apartment, right? That was horrible. Like you can see the kitchen and everything in the background. Like it was very small. I didn't even have a room to sleep in. I had to sleep in the living room. So, but I accepted my circumstances and where I was at and my level. I didn't resist it. I just said, this is what I got. Let's move forward.
Key. Such a good interview. I mean, so much useful information. I'm sure people who are watching it, they're going to benefit tremendously, because after watching that video that you did on mentorship, I was like, wow. I was like, if it's going to be possible, I want to seek out to you and see if you'll be willing to give a little bit of your time on this information. And you know what? So right after this, I'm going to be making a lot of notes myself, because
Very
what
cool.
you said, you've hit the nail on the head so many different ways. So, without further ado, I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. Thanks for taking the time out. It was, it was amazing, all the information you've shared. And, before we part ways, a lot of people are watching who are part of your social media group, part of your Facebook, and there are some people from my audience channel as well. How can people reach you? I'm sure people want to reach you and they'll have a lot of follow-up questions. I've put the link to your website right at the message of this live video. But if they want to reach you, what would be the best way? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to seek you as a mentor right after this.
Absolutely, yeah. The best 2 ways I would say are either Facebook or Instagram, right? And if you see my name here, Bryan Casella, all my handles, all my social media handles are @ and then my full name all together. So you can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. Best way to contact me, Facebook.
Facebook. So they can get a hold of you on Facebook. And if they want to go on Instagram, it's @Bryan Casella.
Yep.
Right?
Everything, yeah.
Awesome. Perfect, Bryan. Thanks for taking the time out. Really appreciate it. A lot of useful information. And we'll stay in touch. In the meanwhile, if there's anything I can help you with, any way I can make your life easier, please let me know.
Cool. All right. Thank you for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Have a great day.
All right,
Thanks
too,
for your
brother.
time.
See ya.
Take care.